Well, first and foremost, I'd like to thank you for coming on the show. I greatly appreciate it.
Thank you to you.
Yeah, yeah,
It's a pleasure.
of course. I was just sitting here like before you got on and looking at pictures of Nick Walker. I'm like super excited about this Olympia. Have you been keeping up with like everything, leading up to it?
Um, yeah, but the most I've been watching is like Bikini Girls and
Yeah.
some wellness, but the guys, it's like not really.
It's It's funny how that is, right? It's like some I've talked to some girls and they're like strictly only like the female
Yeah,
divisions, and then
100%.
others are a little different, but
Yeah.
yeah. So you're on the side of only women, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Got it. Got it. So what got you into like training and everything?
Honestly, it started 2 years ago. I just wanted to work out just to like gain some weight,
Hmm.
feel more confident in my skin. And it's funny because I've always looked at bodybuilding like, oh my God, people that do that are so weird. I don't know why people would do that. They're crazy. And
Yeah.
like as soon as like started working out, I started a new membership at a new gym, and it was like a
Hmm.
lot of bodybuilders over there, and I kind of like really liked the way they were looking and their lifestyle, and I was like, why not try it? So yeah.
So like what made you like join a new gym? Were you always athletic? Were you always working out, or did you just decide to like maybe just change something in your life?
No, so I would do gymnastic as a
Hmm.
sport, and then I just stopped everything with COVID. Everything went down,
Hmm.
and then I was like, okay, like I want to start working out. I was always active when I was like young, and I
Hmm.
was like, why not? Just go to the gym. It's gonna help me with my ADHD, and like it's true.
Yeah.
It does help a lot, and in school too, like like just
Hmm.
get out all the energy. And yeah, that was the reason why I just started a new gym.
So it's interesting that like some people that I've talked to are it was like that. It was they went to the gym to work out just to help with something, like whether it was like their
Yeah.
self-esteem, or like for you it was, like you said, ADHD, and like and then eventually they kind of just really fell in love with it. Was so like you said there was a lot of competitors in your gym. Were these like female competitors that you're talking about?
50-50. So it was
Okay.
a lot of bikini girls. At
Hmm.
that time I didn't know like the divisions. I just thought that everybody was just like one division, like girls and boys. So it was a lot of girls bikini,
Hmm.
and some men's physique and classic guys. And I really liked the way the girls were looking in the bikini division, and I was like, this is the body
Hmm.
goal that I want to have one day.
Yeah.
So
So how did so how did you approach it? I guess did you talk to somebody about it, or did you just, look it up on your own?
I just started looking at, like, I found this page of Laura Lee,
Hmm.
and I was like so impressed. I spent like almost 2 hours just looking at all her videos, her profile, and I went all the way down until like the first day when she first started her first competition. And I was like, oh my gosh, okay, this is the way I want to look.
Hmm.
This is the body goal I want to have one day, and her lifestyle and everything. And then it
Yeah.
just started, like everything. Like I started seeing Maureen, Isa,
Hmm.
and I was just so impressed. And I was like, okay, like this is what I want to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Those girls are like so like just high level, like i
yeah.
was i was looking at some Maureen stuff because we follow each other, and she's just she's gonna be up there. I know it. Like there's just no way that she can't be. And then there's just so
Yeah.
many like very very good girls going around now.
Hmm.
It's interesting because like bikini is one of those divisions where you don't get an Olympia champ that's in there for a very long time.
Yeah.
Like I think Ashley Kaltwasser has the most, which is like three, I think three
Three, I
Olympias.
think. Yeah.
Yeah, so it just shows you like it's a testament to like how tough the competition is, that the person on top can't stay on top for too long. That's
I
pretty
think it's
insane.
also I think it's also because the bikini division, most probably like one of the most easy to obtain as
Mhm.
body like physique, and there's so many girls each year that start competing, so many new bikini girls. So I think that it's one of the division with the most athletes, I
Mhm.
think. So it is harder to like, you know, if you're a champ one time, it is more harder than, you know, classic like CBUM like 3 times in a row, you know?
Right,
So
right. Yeah, yeah. No, I get what you're saying. It's like a more achievable physique. There's not as much muscle mass that's
yeah.
needed. Um, yeah, yeah. I could definitely see where you're coming from. I mean, you definitely have a structure. Like I was looking through your page, you have a structure that's that's like right up there. How did you like I know you said you started to kind of fall in love with it, looking at the at some of the higher level girls and stuff. When did you decide, okay, I'm going to do like a competition? Like it's not just going to be training for me. Like this is the competition that I'm going to do. Like how did you, like when did you know that?
So I started training in April 2021.
Hmm.
And in October 2021, that was when I said, okay, like this is what I want to do.
Hmm.
And so I've planned in October that I wanted to compete for this year. So
So,
yeah, last year,
so when was your first competition?
this year in September.
In September. And was
Yeah.
that the one that I saw? And I was looking at it earlier. It was there was some competition pics. Were those the ones from that competition? Like on your Instagram, a few
So I
pictures
did
now.
two. I did two this year, one in
Hmm.
September, which was a regional, and then I did the national in October.
Yeah, so that's the one I saw. It was the
Yeah.
national one. How did that go for you?
So I won first place of my class, and then I didn't win the pro card, but I don't know where I was placed in the
Hmm.
finals, which is not important. It's
Hmm.
either first place or nothing. So I don't mind which placing I got. But yeah, so for nationals, I got first place in my class, and the show before I won the overall.
Well, I mean, that's a huge accomplishment. Like your first show, you win your overall, then you go to nationals and you win your class. Like most people don't just win their class off their, second competition like that. I mean, that's pretty impressive. You say you didn't win your pro card. Did they not give out pro cards for your class?
No, so here in Canada, how it works for the nationals, it's one pro card and it's only at the overall.
Ah, you're in
Yeah,
Canada. That's
yeah,
that's the that's the problem. That's the problem. I know
yeah,
some Canadian bodybuilders, and yeah, that's like it's a little different over there. Like kind of in Europe also, it's like a little different. It feels like
yeah.
in America they give out a lot of like pro cards.
I think it's because there's way more competitors than here.
Hmm.
So they give out like to the two first places, I think, um, for the
Hmm.
bikini division. But here it's only one pro card. There's a Toronto Pro, they give two pro cards to the two first in the overall.
Have you thought about just going across the borders and competing here for a little while and then just get your pro card and be done with it?
Um,
At
so
least
my
that
coach
part of it.
wants me. So my coach wants me to do Canadian shows first,
Hmm.
and I think that's maybe one of the smartest thing also because I know that I still don't have that pro physique to compete in the states.
Hmm.
I still need to like gain some lean muscle, and as soon as I get that pro physique, then yeah, I'll be competing in the states.
Got it. So you're just trying to like, kind of slowly move up into like the higher level physiques.
Exactly.
Got it. So how is your training? Like how do you train? Heavy, volume?
Um, so I've changed my training this year, this off season.
Hmm.
So right now I'm training really harder than I used to before. I
Hmm.
got this mentality now to like you're not gonna train like a little girl, you're gonna train until failure each time. And I love training with, you know, mind muscle connection. So I do go heavy, but not as heavy as I know I could go because I still want to have this mind muscle connection. I'm sorry,
No,
when I
you're fine.
train. So yeah, that's how I
Yeah.
train.
Yeah. That's no, that's interesting. So is like most of your training focused on like lower body, or is it just got like a balanced upper and lower body?
Uh, yeah, half of my trainings are lower body, and I
Mhm.
would say the other half, like shoulders and back,
Right, got
and a
it.
little bit of bicep and tricep.
Yeah, because I know that like I talked to some of the wellness girls, and a lot of their like training is just like 90% is like legs. So I was
Yeah, yeah.
curious if that's
Well, they need a lot of legs compared to bikini.
right.
But I'm training more legs in this off season since I need to grow my legs
Mhm.
more compared to my upper body. But I still train upper body like 40%. Yeah.
Got it. So I know you just mentioned that, you need to grow your legs a little more. Did they give you any kind of other feedback in those
So
shows?
I didn't ask for feedback because me
Hmm.
and my coach already knew what we needed to do for next year. So
Hmm.
I know that I just have to bring in bigger hamstring, glutes, quads, and more back for my next show. So a bit of everything.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
didn't really need to ask for feedbacks because, like I said, I already knew deep down what I needed to work on. And my coach also, he knew. So
Yeah, interesting. Like so yeah, I know I completely get where you're coming from. Some people like they always like ask for feedback and they ask for
yeah,
feedback. And some of the problem that with that is sometimes you'll get like different feedback from different judges, and then it's like, well, what do you do with that? So it's good that you already have like your coach and you already have like an idea of like where you need to go. So you don't have to like yo-yo between like judges'
yeah.
opinions and things like that. So yeah, I mean, that's good. Have you ever thought like when you started competing, have you ever thought like you might do like a different division, or it was bikini always like your goal?
It was bikini always.
Yeah.
And also I don't really have the genetics to like grow more.
Hmm.
So I'm like, I don't want to like, I know that wellness it would be impossible for me.
Hmm.
And I really like the bikini because it's like super feminine and
Hmm.
it's really I have the physique for it, like
Yeah.
the structure for bikini more than figure or wellness. Like for
Right.
me, it's absolutely bikini. I'm sold for that.
Yeah, well, like that's what I was saying. Like structurally, like as I'm looking at like some of your pictures, especially like the stage pictures, I think you're not like far off. I mean, I don't see why they wouldn't give you a pro card very, very soon, because yeah, you seem like right on point with a lot of the girls, like very comparable. Do you monitor like weight at all? Like, are you trying to put on like a certain amount of like muscle as far as like pounds are concerned, or you're just looking strictly on like how you look in the mirror?
So my coach really goes with the look,
Hmm.
but he told me at my last show, he said like a good 6 to 8 pounds
Yeah.
in my legs would be necessary for me to be a pro, which is
Hmm.
super attainable. I just need to take the time, and I have plenty of time in front of me. I'm not stressed with that. I really want to do it the good way. So
Hmm.
I'm missing, like I said, legs and a bit more of condition for my next show. So yeah,
Yeah. Well, condition would be like just in your prep, right? Like in your, coming up to your, but in the off season, that's
yeah,
when you really want to grow that muscle. Yeah, but
100%.
6 pounds, I mean, I guess it depends on the person. I don't want to say that it's easy, but like you said, it's attainable, especially with, a long, decent off season.
Yeah.
Do you have like a way you're gonna do that? Like, how do you usually eat, like with regard to like your off season?
So last off season, because now it's been 2 months post show, so I
Hmm.
can't really say that this would be my off season like diet.
Hmm.
But my last off season, I was eating almost 4,000 calories.
Hmm.
Um, so maybe that I think that this year too, we're gonna go up to that
Yeah.
once my body stabilized from the last prep. And like I said, I changed my training also. I train really harder than I used to before. I
Mm.
didn't really have this mentality of like, I didn't like the pain. So I would just stop every time that it would be painful. And now I just keep on going, even though it's painful. people. So I know that that also is going to be a big game changer in my physique.
Yeah. Like how was that eating 4,000 calories for you? Like, for me, that's like 2 meals, but for you, how's that?
um, so I had a previous coach before, and I was eating 5,600 with
Oh,
him,
okay.
and that was really a lot of calories. The 4,000 too, it's kind of a lot for a little girl to eat
Hmm.
that. I would feel always bloated for sure,
Yeah.
but it's off season. Like, who cares? It's not the
Right.
time to be lean or not bloated.
So it
So
doesn't bother you like to like be in that kind of like bloated state. Some people it messes with them. The reason I ask, some people it messes with them like mentally, like they're like, oh, I'm getting fat, like how like I look terrible, especially
yeah.
as a woman. I wonder how that is.
Well, when I was eating 4,000 calories, I didn't mind at that time because I never got to the point where I saw my body like stage lean. So I didn't mind. But
Mhm.
like right now, when I did my reverse, it was hard. Like seeing my body going from completely lean to like always bloated, and you
Yeah.
don't see your lines anymore. It is hard in the beginning. Yeah, I won't lie
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah, because well, like it's very some people don't think about that. I had a girl on, she was in bikini a while back. This probably was like 4 months ago or so, maybe a little bit more. And she was talking, and the point of the podcast was to talk about one of it was talk about PEDs, but then the other aspect was it like dieting and coming off, off a show. And it was just that she was just saying like the ability to like mentally deal with seeing your body be like almost perfect, and then
Mhm.
regress back. Like you have to be kind of mentally strong to deal with that. And like a lot of people, wouldn't be able to do that.
Yeah, it is hard. But then, I would tell myself, like, remember when you were 1 week out and you were saying, like, I can't wait to like gain some weight back in my face and,
Uh-huh.
like gain some weight back in my glutes and, feel like healthier
Right.
and not look like like a little child, because I did look like a little child at the end of my prep. So I would just keep on reminding me that, like, remember, like at the end of your prep, you were not enjoying your look. It's not really
Yeah.
like, I didn't find it like um a good look. I didn't feel that confident in that look, but it is a look that, when you look back, you're like, this is crazy. My body can look like this, in
Hmm.
like a
Hmm.
20-week prep or like 18-week prep. And you're like, I can't wait to see what's under now,
Yeah. Yeah. How did you like to get that lean? How did you what were you eating like by the end? Because the reason I ask is because you already seem like a very naturally like lean person. Did you have to like really like cut out a lot, bring your calories down a lot to get to that level?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
did. So for nationals, I had 2 weeks in between my regional and national show. And so for the 2 weeks, I had 3 hours of cardio and
Mm,
I was eating like 850 calories per day.
mm,
And my body was not leaning out the way we wanted. And so I had to suffer at the end a lot. But next prep,
mm.
it's not going to be like that. My body's like, first prep, you try to learn the body and everything. So now we learn my body way more and we
Yeah.
know what to do for next prep.
Do you know like specifically like what was causing you not to respond to that? Like
Um,
when you couldn't like lose as much as you thought you should?
yeah, so there was my old job. I was working as a bartender and as a waitress. So I was
Mm,
always working late, not getting enough sleep. I was
mm,
really stressed at that time also. And in my diet too, I was eating red meat, which didn't wasn't helping because I have like thick skin. And for
mhm,
me, eating something like red meat, which has more fat in it,
mhm.
um, was not the ideal thing. So right now we're just gonna stick to white fish and ground chicken for
Mhm.
my prep.
Got it. So yeah, that's interesting. Like a kind of controversial thing, red meat. Like some people are like totally against it. Some people love it and they can't like can't eat
Yeah.
it. You know, they eat it like multiple times a day. But I do think that like it does play into like what division you're into, because if you're in a division like bikini where it's a smaller look, you know, and your red meat does tend to take longer to digest. It kind of gives you like, it doesn't quite like give you that lean look like fish does, you know. And so like what I
Yeah.
mean, if you stay on fish, like you will, I mean, you could get shredded like really fast. It's almost like you don't want to like. There was one person I was talking to. He said that he actually had to like he was eating only fish and he was losing too much weight like too fast. So
Okay. Yeah.
yeah, getting like too lean. You know, it was like well he because he wanted to
Yeah.
slow it down a little bit. So
Yeah.
it's amazing like what like depending on what nutrition you take in, like how your body like responds to that. But yeah, definitely like sleep too. And if there's anything that I would like ever suggest to somebody, it would be just never sacrifice anything for your sleep. Because sometimes, you know, you might be like, oh, I might get a workout in, you know, like extra
Mm-hmm.
workout in. I can, you know, I don't need as much sleep. Take the sleep, forget the workout. The work, you know,
100%.
it's that's always like
Yeah,
important.
it is. But yeah, the whitefish is 100% what I will be sticking with for next prep, because in the 2 weeks that I had between my regional show and my national show, I was only eating whitefish and I lost 8 pounds in the 2 weeks. So it was really the red meat and the sleep also, which I stopped working for the 2 weeks, so I was sleeping way better.
Yeah.
I had my 8 hours of sleep every time. I didn't have the stress of working, double shifts all the
Mhm.
time. So that too really helped out. So I know that for my next prep, like sleep will be 100%. My nutrition also, it's gonna be only whitefish, so we're not gonna have this problem for my next show.
Right, right. How are you like thinking you're going to structure your competitions? Excuse me. Do you have like a competition in mind already?
So yeah, I do have a competition in mind, uh, but I will only be doing it if my coach says like, okay, yeah, you're ready, you have the pro physique to do it.
Mhm.
Um, but if he doesn't say yes, like we're not gonna do it. I really
I
follow what my
gotcha.
coach says. Like
Yeah, I
I
can
if
tell
he
that.
tells
Yeah.
me, yeah, like he knows what's best for me,
Hmm.
and he knows like if he tells me like, no, you're not gonna win at this show, it's a waste of time. I'm not gonna do it.
Yeah.
I know that he knows what he's saying.
Yeah, that's a beautiful thing, like to be that to trust your coach like that and to have that kind of relationship because you know and I don't know if you're aware, you probably are at this point, but like in the fitness industry, that coach to athlete relationship, it can be pretty volatile. You know, it's like
Hmm.
people change coaches all the time.
Hmm.
They break up with in like bad, you know, bad on bad terms all the time. So it's a when you find someone that like really looks out for you,
Yeah.
that's so important, you know. And not a lot of coaches will tell you like, oh, you're not going to win this show. So you know, that goes a long way.
Yeah. No, my coach doesn't care. He is honest, and that's why I'm with him. Because if you're too fat or like you don't have enough muscle, he's just gonna tell you like,
Yeah,
listen, get off of your dream. This is not happening. If you want to win a show, you're gonna listen to me. And honestly, that's the way I like it. I
yeah.
don't want someone that's gonna sugarcoat me and tell me, yeah, yeah, you're gonna win the show, and I know it's gonna be a total waste of time.
Yeah, yeah. That's what it is, right? Like that's what ends up happening is you just end up wasting time. And it's like you don't want
Yeah.
to do that. Um, you know, it's like you kind of want to hit the ground running. Plus, the other thing is, and this is like the kind of the issue that some people have when they turn pro, but they really don't have a pro physique. They just happen to turn pro because, you know,
Hmm.
the cards lined up that way. But what happens is if you don't have a pro physique and you happen to turn pro, a lot of times you'll have to have a big huge gap in time before you're like competitive in the pro ranks, right? But
Yeah,
if you already
absolutely.
have a pro physique and you turn pro, you can literally go like the next, you know, the next pro show and make your debut and do well, you know, kind of hit the ground running as you know, go into it.
Absolutely. That's the goal. That's the goal. Yeah. I've always said it since the beginning, like I want to have a pro physique. And I knew that this year, since the beginning of my prep, it wasn't my year, but my coach wanted to learn my
Mhm.
body and we had to get me in that stage of lean stage, ready to see what I had to work on. But if it's gonna take 2 years, it's gonna take 2 years, but I love competing and I hope it's going to be next year because I am excited to step back on stage. Yeah, but if it has to take 2 years, it's going to take 2 years.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good mindset to have. I don't imagine it taking 2 years, like, just from what you're telling me, it seems very doable in the time frame, that you have to go ahead and, step on stage next year, but I guess you'll see. Um, so, like, if you don't mind me asking, where are you originally from?
So I'm from Morocco. My parents are from Morocco, but I live in Canada.
Okay.
So yeah.
Yeah, I had a neighbor, we're no longer neighbors, he moved to Miami, but he was a great guy from Morocco, and him and his family were, like, we were very close, so, I was kinda curious, like, what did your family think of your competing in your bodybuilding?
So I am not really close to my family and
Okay.
it's not something that they support,
Right, yeah, yeah.
the because of all the how can I say this, religion and everything. It's really
Okay,
something that's like against it, but I follow my purpose and what I want to do in life, so I choose to
sure.
do it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's, not only like, in your case, it might be religious, but I also think like sometimes like non-Americans have a hard time. So I think the Hispanic world kind of accepts it, but like other places, they have a hard time understanding like bodybuilding and understanding competing like that. It's difficult for them to grasp, and
Yeah.
especially it's also kind of generational too. It's
Yeah,
like,
100%.
older generations, they don't understand it. Like
Yeah.
like when I talk to some members in my family, they're like, they don't even understand why I lift weights. They're like,
Yeah.
what are you doing? Like, why are you
It's
lifting?
exactly that. But I think it's also like, the Islamic part and me being a woman and, like
Hmm.
showing my body this way. But I really don't see it like that.
Hmm.
And,
Hmm.
we're not in the same generation.
Right.
So it's like normal for this
Yeah.
generation. I
Yeah.
don't see
Yeah.
it as a bad thing. So
Right. Well, it's a sport. In it's I guess it would be similar to, if you're talking about like the dress code of like bodybuilding, then you could think of something like swimming. You could think of something
yeah,
like
100%.
beach volleyball. Like you could, it's like similar attire, so it's just a
Hmm.
different sport. So, but
Yeah.
anyways, yeah. So I saw on your page that you do some posing as well. Like, do you coach people on posing?
Yeah, I'm a posing coach.
Okay.
Yeah, for the bikini division.
Cool. So how, like, at what point did you decide that, like, I want to compete, but I also want to help people, with their posing as well?
So it's been like a year since I started posing
Hmm.
and it just came out like naturally, something that I had really like it was just something that I had naturally. I really enjoyed posing. And my old coach was always telling me, like, you should give some classes in the future, like, you're really good. And this year I've just decided, like, okay, I'm gonna start giving classes. I really love posing. I know that I pose good.
Hmm.
And I'm always willing to learn new stuff. So I just love it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That's well, so posing is such a like a big deal now, especially like I've seen more and more people focus on posing, which is really good because a lot of times like you can build a really good physique, but
Yeah.
not be able to present it well, and it's like it becomes useless. All that time you put into
Hmm.
building that physique is now useless. So,
Yeah. Well, you see a lot of great physique in the bikini division, and sometimes, it's not presented correctly because of the posing, and
mhm.
it's just it costs them like their placing, which really sucks
Hmm.
because you could just make like a few adjustments in the
Hmm.
posing and it would really bring their physique out. So posing is really important, and it's one of the things that people have the hardest time to do it,
Sure,
properly.
sure. Because
So
there's like a certain there's a certain, I don't want to say technique, but there's a certain like something that you need to pose well, and because it doesn't take much to like work out well, right? Like to learn how to work out right, to train
mhm,
right, build muscle. Like there's only only a certain way you can do bicep curls. There's only a certain way you can
mhm,
do like this and that. But posing, it's like, because it's so artistic, not a lot of people are able to grasp that. Like, you really need a coach for that. I think you need a coach for posing more than you need, a coach for anything else, because it's just
mhm.
such a tough thing to get for a lot of people.
Yeah, it is. It is really, and it's a lot of little details, that sometimes you don't even see yourself
Mhm.
doing those little mistakes. So it is important to also practice in your off season. Like a lot of people will only practice, like, okay, I know I have a show, I have 16 weeks, I'm going to start at 16 weeks out to pose,
Right.
which is like a big mistake. You should always be practicing posing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you like how what would you suggest pose? I know you said always pose, but like if you were to tell somebody like you need to pose this much, can you break that down? Like how many times a week? How many like
Um,
for how
honestly,
long?
honestly, if you know that you're going to compete next year and this is something that you're sure 100% that you're going to be doing for a couple of years, um always, I pose every day,
Mhm.
even if it's just 10 minutes in the morning, 10 minutes at night, every day. Just break the heels and make sure that you're always fluent and you're not losing that. Okay, like sometimes when you take a big break, you like kind of make mistakes when you
Yeah.
start back posing. So you just always want to pose like every day, just a little 10 minutes. That's what I do. It doesn't take a lot of time. It's a
Mhm.
little bit like, you vacuum every day, you stretch every day. Those
Mhm.
little things that you do in your routine, you just add your posing also in it.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
good point. That's a good point. What do you think about so that they're all posing has kind of been every division has their own style of posing, right? So I know bikini and wellness are similar. Then other divisions are a little bit different. You got figure that they have their own,
Mhm.
and physique. Do you like? Would you change the posing at all in bikini, or do you think like the way they have it is perfect for what they're displaying? Like the yeah, basically for what they're displaying.
Yes. So you said that all the division have like different routine, but I
Mhm.
think that every athlete has a different routine, especially when you look at
Mm,
the pros, they all have their own style. So I
interesting.
wouldn't change, I wouldn't change anything because, you have the typical like front pose, back pose, and then you have in between the transitions and the walk, which
Mhm.
every athlete has, they bring out something original, from
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
So I don't really like the, how can I say this? So we have the amateur in Canada. We only have 15 seconds
Mhm.
to do our solo routine, and so it's always going to be really generic.
Mhm.
So front pose, the same transitions. So I don't really show my girls that. I want my girls to have, something original that comes out from them.
Yeah.
So that's what I try to learn to my girls. It's like I want you to do something that's original and that comes out naturally, and it's not going to look like everyone else, like the pros. You always
Mhm.
have, the pros, they always have their, their signature moves.
Mhm.
So everyone has different posing. So
So
yeah, I
it's
wouldn't change anything.
yeah, so it sounds like you're saying that like even though you have your standard like poses, like there's enough there where you can kind of create your own flair like to the poses,
100%.
right? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I see where you're coming from. That makes sense. Definitely. yeah, you gotta kinda have your own flair, right? Especially if all the
Hmm.
posing is standard, like, you have to do something different, otherwise,
Yeah.
you start, like, flowing in with everyone else, there's
Hmm.
no difference.
Exactly.
Because I will tell you, like, for me, and, I'm not like, an expert in, like, bikini divisions or anything like that, but it gets tough and, to judge if everyone does it exactly the same, because a lot of times the girls have similar physiques, you could say, until, like,
Hmm.
obviously the top people are going to be different from, like, the lower, people, because
Hmm.
there's definitely, like, advancement in physiques there,
Yeah.
but if they're close, it's like it's hard to tell, so a little bit different pose can make a difference, can make a difference in your placement.
Yeah. 100%. Well, I think posing plays a big game,
Mhm.
because, you know, when you look at the pros, example, Laura Lee, Maureen, Isa, they
Mhm.
all have their own way of posing. Like, they have their own style. And I think that the more original you are, the more you catch the eye, and the more the judges are going to remember you. So it's important that you have something original that, you come out of the blue, like you're not
Yeah,
like everyone else. It is
yeah.
important.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I just remembered, I saw India. I don't know, is India Paulino gonna be at the
Yeah.
Olympia? Did she wear? Okay. So when I was younger, she was, like, really winning a lot of shows and
Hmm.
doing very well. So I was excited to see her, like, make a comeback too. So I'll be interested to know how she does,
Yeah. She looks
in that
amazing.
lineup. Yeah. Interesting. Um, so I guess, we've been on for, almost an hour, but I appreciate, your time. I know it's later over there and you've got a very
No
busy,
problem.
busy
It's a
schedule.
pleasure.
So, so
It's a
if
pleasure.
thank you. So if somebody wanted to reach out to you for posing or for other podcasts, like, what would be the best way for them to reach out to you?
My Instagram, Amina.fit. I always respond to all my DM on there. So, or my
Awesome.
Facebook. But I think everyone now today just uses Instagram
Yeah,
the
pretty
most.
much, pretty
So
much.
yeah.
That's how I get in contact with most people that I have
Yeah.
on the show. And guys, I'm gonna put everything at the bottom. I'm gonna link it so make it easier for you to reach Amina. I did want to ask you, now that I'm thinking about it, I did want to ask
Yeah.
you. So since you have you have a gap there of a few pounds that you want to, some more muscle that you want to put on to be competitive in the pros. How do you feel about, like, the size that they're rewarding? So, and let me kind of explain that. Do you, like, some people think that they tend to reward people that are a little bit more muscular, like all the divisions are getting bigger, more muscular, more shredded. Others, said that that's not really the case. It changes. Like, have you thought about that? Like, how do you feel about that?
So yeah, if I look at the bikini division, which is the division that I really look into it, the girls did, grow more than what they used to be before. But when you look like at the top Olympians like Jen Dory, which I think it's really an obtainable physique. I think
Hmm.
she's not that big. She's still small, and she's
Hmm.
not. If you look at her last Olympia win, she's not. She wasn't that lean.
Right.
So I don't think there is some show depending on the states or the
Hmm.
country where the girls are really bigger. And there's other places where the girls are really smaller. But yeah, the girls did grow more in the
Yeah.
division. But I think it's still obtainable. I
So you
think it
think,
is
like, they're
still.
correcting it at the top, like, so they're making at the top of the competition, like the Olympias and people that are winning the Olympias, they're picking the right people. It's just that sometimes when you get, like, regional shows and other shows and low level, not low level, I shouldn't say low level, but, like, other types of pro shows,
Mhm.
you just happen to judge what's up there. Sometimes it's a bigger girl that wins. So is that
Yeah, so I think it's also depending on who's going to be there in the competition.
right?
So if there's like 15 big girls and there's one that's smaller, I think they're all going to compare, the girls that are bigger.
Mhm.
But I think that, if you look at Laura Lee, the winner, I think that's the physique that, you should go with. We all have different structure, different genetics, but it gives you a good idea of what bikini
Yeah.
should look like. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the kind of feedback that I've like been getting really from girls in wellness as well, or people at least talking about wellness, is that
Hmm.
you'll get different types of shapes in wellness as well. You'll get girls with like
Hmm.
almost bodybuilder type of legs, really big, like that kind of thing. But at the top, they seem to reward like the right look. So like Fran
Hmm.
winning,
Absolutely.
everyone seems to be
Yeah.
content that Fran should, be
Yeah.
the top of
Top.
the
Yeah.
division. Yeah. So
100%. Yeah.
for sure, for sure. Well, again, thank you for your insight. I really appreciate it.
You're
Yeah.
welcome.
And again, I'll link everything at the bottom, guys. And Amina, you take care. Have a great rest of the evening.
Thank you. You too. Goodbye.